Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy you are here. Today I am creating a card for the Path of Positivity Challenge. Now this time we are inspired by quotes. And this month the quotes are about love and relationships. There are 4 quotes there. There may be a couple more, but I know there are at least 4 quotes there you can choose from. These quotes are an optional challenge. You can share anything positive you would like to share. All right, so let's move on with this card. I decided to go with the quote, "There is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved." And as I thought about that quote, and I journaled it in my journal, it really brought to mind a sympathy card for me that, as we finish our lives, what have we done and what have we brought to this world? And this quote just really seemed to just reach out to me in that way. So I created a sympathy card. I decided to go with this lovely digital paper from Sandy Woodson, and it is linked in the description box below if you would like to receive papers from her. This one, I believe, was from the month of January, possibly even December or earlier, but she does give a free paper out every month. Several free papers, by the way. I mean, it's a huge collection of papers. So this might be something you would be interested in signing up for. I have put that paper, I have paired that with a flower from the images in the Cricut library. It is from the cartridge Padoga. All right, let's get started. I like to start my cards with a shape. I start with a square. When I unlock the square, I know that I want the square to be 5.5 by 4 1/4. This piece is simply here as a guide because this is going to be my card base. And as I build up my card, then I know the sizes I want. So here it is. It's going to fit right back here. And I'll be honest, I'm using this just as a guide. I am not going to cut it in Cricut Design Space because I can take a white sheet of 8.5 by 11. With my paper slicer, I can slice that in half, fold each of those in half, and there are my card blanks. Let's move this out of the way. Next, I bring in another square, and I'm going to bring that in, and it will be the size of this piece of designer paper. So I'm just going to match it up here. I ended up with about 4 by 5 is what I ended up with. Then I'm going to have one more piece, so I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this. I'm duplicating by left clicking and then left clicking, duplicate. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and that's going to be big enough to fit right inside here. I know that I want that white, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to white, and that's ready. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. Again, right click, duplicate, and set this aside. Now I'm going to come in with this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to a print then cut. So I'm coming up here to operation. It's now at basic cut. I'm going to come down, left click print then cut. Going to left click this little black square, left click color, left click pattern. I will click the pattern I want to choose. I can say edit pattern, click that. I'm just going to boost this up a little bit here. And that's done. Now I'm going to duplicate that. So duplicate and set that aside. Okay. Now I already have this piece. It's done. I can set it aside. It's going to go right there. Now this piece is the piece that I want to add my sentiment as well as this floral piece from Padoga. So the first thing I'm going to do is type in my text. And I went ahead and did that before starting the video just to save some time. I will show you though how I'm going to break it into 3 lines. I'm going to come in and double click. Then I'm going to place my cursor right before in, and on my keyboard I'm going to hit my return key. I know that I wanted his name to be on a 3rd line, so again I'm just going to go ahead and hit my return key. I know that I want his name to be off to the right, so I put my cursor here before his name. I'm going to hit my space key. I know I don't want the square, so I'm going to go ahead and just take my cursor over that little box that showed up, and I'm going to put in the little line there that I want. While we're here, let's go ahead and sweep over this again. Let's come up to Cricut Sans and let's change the font. I used Angelina, which is a free font from Creative Fabrica free downloads. And that's linked below also if you're interested in checking that out. However, for this demonstration, let's use one that's in the Cricut library. Let's use Culinary. As you can see, this is kind of take up a lot of card space. So let's bring it to the front. Let's place it on our card. Let's come up here and let's change some of the spacing. I want to change the line space. Let's make the line space much smaller. Now, with these letters, the P's coming down and such, I could, if I wanted to take the time, I could take this and I could change some things. For example, I could come in here and I could delete some spaces here. On my keyboard, I'm just going to hit delete. And I'm going to bring his name over here a little ways. That way the capital G is not sitting in that A that's sticking over. I could do the same thing here if I don't like the way the P's are coming into the B's. I can stick my cursor here, and again, I can just tab over a little bit. And now I have my D and my B. The B kind of comes between the 2 P's and nothing is running into each other. I'm going to go ahead and take this, move it down just slightly. There we go. And now I'm going to bring in my flower from Padoga. This is from the cartridge Padoga. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. So what I did here is I just clicked on images. And then I typed in flowers, and that's where I found those flowers. All right, so we're going to cancel, cancel. I'm going to go ahead and bring this in, and right now you'll notice that it is grouped together. I'm going to move that to the front. I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it. So I'm going to grab the toggle here and see how the little curve shows up. I'm just going to eyeball this in the way I think it looks nice. And now I'm going to make this a little bit taller and longer. And I'm going to toggle it down just a smidge and just play with it until it gets to where I think it will look nice on my card. Next, I'm going to separate these 2 pieces so they are no longer together. So I am ungrouping by clicking this square up here. So here they are grouped. I click, now they are ungrouped. I'm going to bring this piece out. leave this piece in. I'm going to change the color of this piece to a sort of beige gray, more than just a yellow beige. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to bring this down just slightly. I'm going to select everything and I'm going to flatten. Now this turned out a lighter gray than I would have liked, because when this prints on my computer, it's going to be even lighter. I'm going to unflatten that. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come down here and make sure that it is the darkest black color that I have, which it changed it to here. Now I'm going to come in and again, I'm going to flatten. And now it's a darker color. So now what I have is I have this piece right here, and I have the die cut that's going to go on top of that card. Let's bring it back to the front. When I glue this on, I'm going to offset it slightly, and that will make it look like it sort of has a shadow behind it. So now the entire front of our card is done. This piece will print and cut. This is a cut only piece, and this piece back here is a print and cut. The white card base we will cut on our paper slicer. You're welcome to cut them, obviously, in Design Space. It just saves paper for me if I go ahead and use the paper slicer. All right, so let's take a look at our inside piece. This is all one piece. Very simple, because we duplicated everything. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, the white piece, move it to the front. Actually, I'm going to take this pattern piece, let's start there, and let's send it to the back. That makes more sense. There we go. We're going to take this floral piece. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to twist it back just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to take this entire thing. I'm going to select it all. I'm going to come up here to align here at the top, left click, align center. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten that entire thing. And there it is. Now I'm going to come over to text. I'm going to type in, may your loving memories bring you peace. I'm going to size this down. Again, I'd like my lines closer together, so I'm going to come up to line space. I'm just clicking that little arrow. I lucked out because my B is sitting right between my two Y's, so it looks pretty good there. And I'm going to put this just sort of right here. I'd like to go ahead and select all of it now. Align. I'd like to center horizontally. Again, I want to check my color before I flatten. So let's bring it over to that darkest color. Select it all and flatten. And it's done. And this will be one piece in print and cut. All right, let's move on over to the craft table and let's assemble this. It's a very quick put together. So I'll see you at the craft table. Here we are at the craft table, and here is the piece that we are going to put on the front. Here is our inside sentiment piece. Here is our little die cut and the piece we die cut it from that I paper sliced to make a layering piece, and our printed piece and our card base. I'm going to speed this way up because basically we're just gluing together. I put my inside sentiment in with ATG. Now I'm adding my first layer with that pretty paper. I'm taking this piece that, again, I die cut from, and I'm using it to layer my front sentiment piece. I'm going to go ahead and attach that now with some ATG. Now I was going to stick this on, but then thought, you know what, I'm going to just give this a little more texture just by sponging on some ink, and I did it so lightly that it just shows little specks. Now I'm coming in with some Barely Arts glue, which has a precision tip, and I'm gluing that in place. Hey, thanks again for joining me today. It means a lot to me. I hope this gave you some ideas for your next sympathy card. They're never fun to make, but I know they mean so much to the recipient. Hey, any comments or questions, leave them in the description box below. I appreciate your time as well as clicking that like button. Take care, and I will catch up with you in the next video. Bye.